Shalom. We
Shalom.
wanted to make a quick video today just talking about some of the comments that we've gotten recently and in the past as well. We just wanted to talk about the misunderstandings that have surrounded kind of what our ministry really is and exactly what we do, like the work that we do. A lot of comments that I've gotten in the past and recently have said like we don't do any work at all. Just things that are conflated and it just seems like a lot of people aren't really seeking to understand what we do and try and learn, like maybe even ask like what is it that you actually do. I haven't personally gotten a single message that says, hey, what do you actually do? All I've gotten is just people that post comments or say things that they think we do, but we haven't been asked. So we just wanted to make a quick video kind of chatting, just a chat about what we actually do, what our ministry looks like, what it has looked like, what we plan for it to look like in the future, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also people, even from Facebook, you can only share so much, and that's one reason we wanted to do like an actual face-to-face like video where you can see our faces and our tone of voice and everything, and it's not just words on a screen. Because you can easily just be scrolling and scroll past someone, and it's not like that's a real person talking, like they have a real life, like you just see a very small portion of what we go through.
We've had people that we barely knew people in the past, and they've said that they've made the exact statement. They've said, we know everything there is to know about your life. You post it all on Facebook, and what we post on, or what Lily posts on Facebook is, I would say, not even an eighth of what we do or what we think or how we feel. It's just a very small outlet that Lily puts in to update people about what do we exactly do. So we primarily do and have done for the past, how long? 2-ish years, even before that as well, but for the last 2.5 years now, pretty much full time, we've just done volunteer work, which I like to think about it when, especially when I'm like doing volunteer work, as like there was a thing growing up in my town. It was called Make a Difference Day. Maybe some people know what that is, and it was where when we were in grade school. I don't think we did it in high school, did we?
I wasn't even in high school.
It was just grade school, I think, where like there was elderly people in the neighborhood or widows or different even just
rake their leaves.
Just people who didn't have like the ability to go and like even do yard work. So mainly it was just raking leaves, like Lily said. So in the fall time there was Make a Difference Day. So it was one day, and the whole school would go out for the whole day. It's like a field trip day, and you would just go and rake yards, and it was fun because it's something different. But it made a difference. There was widows or even old people or whatever that they couldn't do their own lawn care,
or even like families and people in the hospital.
Like illnesses. And in one day, we could rake. As if you split the whole school of children up. It sounds crazy. It's like child labor, but it's volunteer work. So you split the whole school up. You can go and rake 100 yards in one day, and in 100 people's days. It takes, if it was one person, it could take you, a couple, especially if you're working a full-time job, it could take you a week to rake your yard, but in one day it's done, in a couple hours, because you got a lot of people doing it. So it's really just that kind of volunteer work. We just like to go and do mainly like small jobs for people that either they can't do it themselves, they can't afford to do it themselves. If we have extra funding, we can like help people fix their vehicles and get the parts and everything. But like really it's just work that a lot of times, especially like what we've been doing this whole summer, is a lot of carpentry work and stuff that mainly for widows, where they couldn't find someone to do it because there was just smaller jobs, whether it was just like a couple screws needed to be replaced or this or that, or just a couple of pieces of trim or painting a couple things where you can't call really. There's not really like handyman service kind of has like almost like become obsolete because of the permitting and the licensing that's required nowadays. You have to have insurance and all that stuff, so they can't really find somebody to come and do it that has a full-time job, because if you have a full-time job doing that stuff, you have to be licensed in doing it all. And if you're going to do that, you can't just go for a 1-hour job a day. So we don't have to have that full-time income because we don't have any of the necessities of a full-time income, like full-time bills, like power bill, water bill, a sewer bill, rent, or any kind of thing like that, like even vehicle insurance right now. So we don't have like any of those bills that would, or even internet, and right now we're in this amazing house, but it's not ours.
As you can tell.
Yeah, it's not ours.
It's gorgeous in here.
It's just our friend who is widowed, and right now that's what we're doing full time, is taking care of this property. There's technically a 4-bedroom house with like 5 acres, and it needs a lot of work, and the property needs a lot of work, and
like the inside's pretty.
The inside's nice. It needs to be fully clean.
Yeah, but the exterior was not in good condition.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. But it's just volunteer work. So just like the other people that I helped this summer, that it was just volunteer work. They either couldn't afford to have somebody come and do it professionally, or they couldn't find somebody to come and do it professionally. So we just say,
yeah, the one widows that we helped down south, they've been trying for
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, and they couldn't find somebody for 2 years to come and just do their couple of odds and ends things, because there's not really anybody that can take the time out of their full-time job to come and do that stuff.
And for like big contractors, it's just not worth it for them, because the amount of time that they have to take for their entire day, they don't get paid.
And so they'll charge you for a whole day, even though they're there for a couple hours, and people don't want to do that. So really, it's just that volunteer work that we don't, sometimes we do get just some kind of something for helping people out, but for the most part, we just tell, there's no expectations. We're just helping you because you need help, and we're not here to make money. We're not here to see how much money we can get out of you. We want, really, what our heart is not to even accept any money from any of these people, like, especially widows.
Even if they wanted to.
Yeah, like if we were to go to like these ladies that Lily's saying they couldn't find somebody to do it for years now, we would like to. What our ministry, we want to shift it in this direction. From, if you didn't know, mainly we went around and placed signs, which we still want to do, but then the other part of our ministry was stopping and talking to like homeless people and stuff, and we want to still do that, but not as much as we were, but we want to transition our focus more towards helping widows and people that either maybe, like just like a widow, if somebody's like extremely ill and they can't take care of their own stuff, or they have like a disability where they can't, take care of their property and they need help. We want to be there to help them. And what we want to be able to do is like a widow, that if they need trim and different things done, and we want to be able to show up and they say, well, how much is this going to cost? How much do you charge? How much is the material going to be? We want to be able to say nothing. We don't need any money from you for the labor. Covered. We don't need to be paid for our work, and you don't need to pay for the materials. We've got it, and it's not like we can do it. It's like Yahuwah provided this for you. He provided us to come here and help you, and he provided for us to be able to get you the materials. It's all from him.
And then if they're not believers, like that would just be an amazing way as well to just show them his love.
That's literally, like, for some people, that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you need a roof. Your roof is leaking, and we could literally show up, and I've got the tools and the skills that I could say, we can help you out. And they say, well, I don't have the money for that. And, I can't even afford to pay you for the work. And we said, we don't need any money for the work, and we're going to buy the materials for you and do it all for you. Don't worry about it, And then,
no stress. We're just going to take this burden off of you.
Yeah. And then, like, the other like side of that approach is, with us living in a school bus full time, we want to be able to go to these, like, most of the time people have properties, so we can go to a property and we could spend a week, 2 weeks, however long, with them. And a lot of widows, especially every one of the widows I helped this summer, are very lonely. They don't have any, like, not even just fellowship.
And I have a list of widows that I want to visit, like some in Colorado and some in Tennessee,
and just spend time with them and get to know them. And so we could pull up in our bus, and we're fully self-sufficient. We don't need anything, like we have been for the last 2.5 years. And then, so not only do we not, like, show up and we need to hook up and we need money for our work and we need money for materials, and then, we're going to be we would like to show up. We don't need anything. We don't need any payments for anything. And because most of the time, if it's a widow or if it's just a small family or something, it's easy to make a little bit of extra food. We're already making food for 3 meals a day, and we can make a little bit extra food, and we can
doing that for the homeless as well.
Yeah.
We wanted to get back into making a lot of bread, like in the beginning. Even when we were living in our trailer house before we were in the bus, we were making loaves of bread, and when we would go to the big cities, we would give them actual fresh milled living bread and be like, and then like relate it to like Yahusha being the bread of life, and it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to just do that for more so for widows and just make them meals and give them fellowship and study.
Help them, fellowship with them. We can have meals together and just give them company.
Yeah, I think many people don't know how many widows are out there that need that.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a small amount. There's more than we could ever do.
Or just in general, how many people are widows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're lonely.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like, this house is way out in the country, and that's why I've posted about like if Alex were to go to a normal job, it'd be a long drive because we are out here, and like it's hard for, and like your children grow up, and after you're widowed, your children are grown up, they're out of your house. Sometimes they're in different states, so you never see any of your family, and the rest of your relatives have died because you're old yourself.
Nowadays, most of the time it's like you don't know who your neighbor is. So a lot of times, especially in the world we live in today, a lot of widows don't reach out to their neighbors because there's a lot of people that have, you wouldn't like just seeing them drive by. You're like, I don't know. So,
but also like with us living in the bus and everything, and like what we've been asking for help for, we don't really have any actual bills that we're asking help with.
Yeah,
either.
like we touched on earlier, we don't have like. When we do, like, you know, when Lily puts up a post, like, saying, like, we could really use some help with, you know, getting the things we need. Right now, obviously, we need a decent amount of help to get a new bus built.
Like, we have the bus.
Yeah, we have the bus.
The
we
biggest
just
thing
need
is off the list.
Yeah, we just need to put the time and the material into it to make it into a house.
Mostly metal work and insulation right now. And then after that, that's the biggest.
But really, when Lily puts out, like, a post, like, we need help, that help, like, isn't going towards paying an electric bill. It isn't going towards paying rent. That's like, we consider all those things like, what do we always say? It's like, just those bills are like spinning your tires. You know, like at the end of the day, you pay your electric bill next month. That we watched a lot of Tiny House videos, and there was one guy who was saying, he said he got an apartment and he paid rent the first month and that sucked. And he said then next month rent came due again, and he's like, I'm never doing this again. You know, like, this is horrible. It comes every month. Yeah. And so, like, essentially, if you're paying your electric bill, you're just spinning your tires, because next month you're going to need to pay that bill again. And that's one of the really cool things about living more simply.
The rat race.
Yeah, rat race. You know, you're just chasing your tail or spinning your tires, and you don't get anywhere at the end of the day. Like, if we were asking for help and we need help paying the power bill, and we need help paying for the, you know,
like,
the
say,
water.
Like, if instead of being here we were in an apartment.
Yeah, like if we're in an apartment, just, you know, apartment rent alone is like $1,000. And so if you were to add that up, we've been here now for about the summer, so it's almost been 7 months since we've been sojourning here and helping out at this property. And if you just add up just rent at $1,000 a month, which is, you know, for our area, that's pretty average. In a lot of areas, that's really cheap. In a lot of areas, it's a little bit more expensive. But if you were just to add that up, that would have been $7,000 that would be gone, essentially. It's just burned up.
Nothing.
Yeah, and then that's before you would have to pay for power and then most of the time water and sewer and stuff like that. So really, like, living simply in the bus, we don't have that electric bill, you know, and now we're here taking care of this property, so it's just, she's paying it whether we're here or not, and we don't use much power. So when Lily puts out a post saying, like, could use help or funding, the help and funding isn't going towards something like that.
Something that's just wasting away or just vanity.
Yeah.
It's stuff that what we want to take that any donations for is put that into a house that's going to be forever for us, with a great foundation. Just all we have to do is metalwork on the bus, windows and insulation, and it's really not that much compared to like what the average house is using, and like even just rent and stuff. Like it's something that's going to be extremely good for us to not be dependent on a system that's pouring out and wasting money, like just emptying a bucket on the ground, and you don't get any return for it. It's something that's going to be great for our family. We can be off-grid, and we're going to use that vehicle in-house to go do the work of Yahuwah. Because if we're not in a bus, then we can't go to widows' houses.
Yeah. And then something, just a notable point is that Lily's not just like saying this would be a cool idea. We've done this now for the last 2.5 years. We've lived in a bus, and we've done exactly what she's saying for the last 2.5 years. We know it works. We know it's practical. We've massively
our bills
considered
were
it.
like nothing.
Yeah, but we've massively, even like when we like found out that the bus had mold and it was really rusted, we really considered getting like a permanent structure house. And we weighed all the options, and it's like Lily said, if we had a permanent structure house and there's somebody even 2 hours away that says, hey, I need your help, I can't put all of our children into a vehicle and go 2 hours away and have them sit in the car while I help somebody out, or or stay multiple days. If it's a multiple day project, I would go 2 hours there and 2 hours back. That's 4 hours in one day. That's most of the day eaten up. So if we can go somewhere and have our house with us, I can't think of anything better than that.
Yeah.
And so,
which is ultimately why most people don't do the work that we're trying to do, because you can't with a normal house. You can't with pack up all your children, all the diapers, all the food you need for the day, everything. Like, you would be the only person out there, and then we're not cooking for them. We're not fellowshipping with them. We're not having, like, with our bus, we have so much room in there too. We can put a bunch of material in there and bring that material to the widow's house, do everything for them.
yeah.
It's just like the ultimate solution, and you do have to sacrifice a lot living in a less than 200 square foot space.
There's benefits. Like, I'll tell you, after being here for almost 7 months, the worst thing that I can tell you that we have to go through is loading the groceries into the bus and then having to unload them into the house. Like,
it's far from the worst
hard.
thing we're dealing with.
It's hard to do though. Like, to go from just going to the store and putting them right into the bus, and then they don't have to move them again. It's
the
a
little
lot
things.
It's pretty insane. But like Lily touched on for a second there, we didn't have any additional costs really when we were in the bus. There was no power bill because our power is just set. We use either solar power or we can charge while we drive, and so we don't have a power bill. We get water for free wherever we are, from springs or from different places. There's always free water available. And so we don't have that, and then we use a composting toilet, so we don't have like a dump fee that we pay. There's literally no fees. We only had to have food and fuel. That was our only two expenses when we were doing the ministry work that we were doing for 2 years. And we lived extremely cheaply. Like, and most of our funding went to fuel because we were going from city to city every single day and placing signs and talking to people,
and not just talking to homeless. We were like feeding and clothing them. We always had sleeping bags and free Bibles and everything, stuff that we could thrift at the thrift stores, big sweaters and whatever we could, or just spare our own food or make food for them. A lot of times we had just made dinner, and you would bring someone directly to our bus, and it's like, we actually made dinner. Like, I've seen Alex give away his personal dinner before.
Yeah, and we've also had people reject that because that's not what they were really looking for. Yeah. So you can tell. But the real main focus of this video is that all of the stuff we're saying can't happen unless we have the help and the support of other people to help us out. And that might sound like harsh, like we're just taking other people's money like and utilizing it, or selfish.
The whole reason is because we want to pour into others and volunteer our time and truly work for others and be servants, like Scripture says.
Like, our name's set apart servants. There's a reason for that, is because we're, a lot of people say we don't work. That's what servants do. They work, and we work hard. And if you think about volunteer work, that Make a Difference Day idea that I talked about, that's not just like a grade school kind of a thing. There are organizations that are massive, that have thousands of fleets of vehicles, not just thousands of vehicles, thousands of fleets of vehicles, millions if not billions of dollars in tools and financial support that do volunteer work. They have all of these people go and they work and they do this volunteer work, but they can't do any of that unless they have a corporation or a company or a group of people behind them that pour into that operation, so that then that operation can continue. We could, for sure, finance and fund all of this ourselves with our own work. Like, we could do a little bit, go out and do work for ourselves and then go back out and do a little bit. But that little bit would be a very little bit.
Very tiny
And
bit.
that's...
And when we were working full time, when we lived in the trailer house before the bus, and you were working full time just to pay our bills and everything, we couldn't do any ministry work. I didn't even, especially when you were building the bus, I only saw you for Sabbaths, the only days. Like, we couldn't pour into anyone else. We didn't have the time because we were pouring into ourselves so much in our own situation. And that's what we don't want. We don't want Alex to go to work or to like a normal job because we don't want him to work because he wants to be lazy and sit on the couch all day. We want to be able to pour into others and not ourselves, and not be selfish and not be in the rat race and not just do it over and over and over again. Because then ultimately we're not doing the work of Yahweh.
Yeah. Really, we just need like back to the bus concept, food and fuel, and if we can have the food and fuel, which is literally just money, that's all it is you don't get food unless you have money, unless you grow it yourself, which we've definitely done, and we look forward to doing that a lot more. But
someday.
Someday. But
we're a long way away from that right now.
But also, like, the fuel for sure is just money. You don't get like fuel unless you have money to buy fuel. So
or diapers.
If we can have those couple things taken care of, and then like we talked about earlier, with just having like the ability to have that, like, be able to pull up and help people with what they need and the material, that would just, that would be so amazing. And that's pretty much like what you see in the Torah, is you see that the tithes that people would bring to the priesthood, when they would bring the 10th of the first fruits and the 10th of everything they had, and then that was only what was required. There's definitely people that brought more, that would bring more out of their abundance, even more than 10%, because that's just the requirement. But they would bring that 10% to the priesthood, and then the priests don't need all that. That's way too much. And it was designed that way so that it's even in the scriptures that the priest can then distribute that abundance that they have. They get their needs filled, and they can give to other people freely as they need it. So we can, you see that there's definitely in the Torah, there's even that example of the collective group of people of Israel all giving towards an organization, the priesthood, that then distributes that abundance to the people that need it, to the needy, to the orphans, to the widows, to the people that have that need. Like Messiah said, you'll always have the poor with you. He was quoting Deuteronomy when he said that, and it was talking about exactly what we just said. So that's, there's the exact example of what we're trying to talk about, which today we would call crowdfunding. And so that's not, it's not a new idea from the scriptural standpoint. It's not a new idea from today's standpoint even. That's how most of the people on YouTube that are like Bible teachers, that's how most of the people do that stuff, is because they say, like, if you like what we're doing here, consider donating, help us support to be able to make more content. That's exactly what we're saying. But our content isn't quite like something that you can just watch on YouTube, every bit of work that we do. Like we are, all the work that we've been doing here, for the most part, we have been time-lapsing, and we plan to put the whole process of what we're doing here, which we'll talk about in a little bit, into a big time-lapse, and it'll be really cool. So in today's time, that's called crowdfunding, where people that are like YouTube Bible teachers, or people that are like online Bible teachers, will put out their studies, and they say, if you like what you see, if you agree with what we're teaching, and you'd like to see us do better and be able to make more videos and more content and longer content or better content, we could get new microphones and stuff like that. That's what those people need for what they're doing. Then just help us out, support us, consider donating. That's what those people will say, which is crowdfunding. That's what it's called in today's terms, and it's the same thing as the priesthood back then. For what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people that need it, but we need the collective group of Israel to be able to help us help other people. Otherwise, if you were to say, like that, I shouldn't be doing this volunteer work, and I should go and get a full-time job away from, and not do any volunteer work for homeless people, or for widows, or for people that need it and just go and supply our needs, then if you apply that same, which, you know, I understand that mindset, but if you apply that same thing to the priests, you know, back in Israel's day, if you were a regular Israelite person in like the tribe of Naphtali, and you would go say to a Levite, why don't you stop taking everybody else's funding for what you're doing, and why don't you go and get your own job? Then who would be the Levite priest? You know, if all the Levites would go and get normal jobs, then who would be that part of the body that is supposed to help others and serve others in that way? And that's what we really feel called to do. We just need the support and help of brothers and sisters to be able to make the vision of what the Torah says, to be able to bless people out of the abundance of the people. We want to be able to help facilitate that, because we have the capabilities, we have the skill sets, we have the tools, we have the health, the tools, the time, we have the...
Yeah, who has provided the bus. We just need the help to get it ready to go. Yeah,
because if we don't have the bus, then we can't do really any of that. It's worked out, you know, and who has perfect timing that this house needed a lot of work. And so while we don't have the bus, we can still be doing volunteer work like that.
Which was amazing, because right before we got here, we were like praying and deciding, like, we're really starting to feel led to go from homeless ministry to widows and helping them instead. And he was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me take away your house, and I'm going to put you in a widow's house, and we'll see what you do.
Yeah.
And that's all we've done for the last 6 months, is just pour into it. And we're like, okay, thank you. I'm just trying to praise him, and it's been a real test of faith, but we see why he did everything in the way he did. And that's what we've been trying to explain to people. But like I've said, posts can only go so far, and there's been a lot of misunderstanding about, like, it's like
what
people,
it is that we do.
Yeah, and like people just think that we're being very selfish and just, you don't work at all.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what we want to do with our life and have been doing.
So like just a quick kind of a breakdown of what we have been doing here. We got here before spring kind of hit, so we
after Passover.
Yeah, so we did like the cleanup from winter. Our friend, she hadn't been here since before the fall last year, so all the leaves were still there. So we cleaned all the leaves up on the property, and we cleaned up all like the fallen sticks and branches and stuff like that. And then we maintained the property all summer long with mowing and cleaning. There's a lot of we're fully in the woods, so there's a lot of branches, a lot of sticks.
And there was a lot of storms.
There's a lot of storms. It was over 20 individual trees.
Full trees, big trees.
Yeah, over 20 individual trees that I like cut down. Some of them fell down in storms, some of them were dead and just needed to be cut down and cleaned up. And
a lot of widow makers, like, if you don't know what that means, it's just a branch up in the sky that's suspended.
A tree.
Yeah, like a huge limb up in the sky.
One tree falls into another, is considered a widow maker, because now you can't just cut it down; it has to be pulled down. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong with that.
But they call it widow maker because if it falls on a man, then it makes the woman a widow.
Yeah.
So they're really dangerous.
There was two of them here that were not tipped like this, but they were stuck completely horizontal, over 30 feet off the ground in two trees.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, so I got both of those down, and we've got videos of those as well.
We plan on uploading them, but we haven't had time with everything else we've been trying to do since then.
Yeah, but then, so apart from all that work and that stuff that we've been doing, we've been doing fall cleanup. That's happened, and sticks, branches, and all the leaves again. But this house, you probably maybe can tell, it's an old log cabin,
like
and they've
real
had
logs,
like
whole
real
logs.
It's
like,
not
that's
just
not
siding.
Fake log siding. Those are real whole logs.
Yeah, it's an actual log cabin, and they bought it, I think, in 2002. And they said maybe it had been restained like maybe 3 years before they bought it, maybe. And so that would mean that probably the last time it was restained was around 1999, if it was 3 years old at that point. And so then that would put it at, like, what is that, 25 years
26.
Since it had been restained. And log cabins are supposed to be restained every like 5 years, or every 3 to 5 years you have to restain a log cabin. So it was about 5 times overdue if you go off of the 5 year.
That's not like just like a paint, like for looks. It's protection.
It makes it so your house doesn't rot away.
Yeah.
So thankfully, there was no rotten logs or anything, but it was pretty much just bare wood everywhere. There was no stain left on hardly any of the wood. So I went through the complete and correct process of fully stripping everything down to bare wood with a pressure washer and different other different things, and then all of the all the log wash, scrubbed everything, then pressure washed again, and then when the logs dry, they crack and develop like cracks, and so then you've got to fill that crack, and that's called chinking. And so I tore all the old chinking out. That wasn't it was just a cheap product that didn't, as they're called checks. As the log dries out more, they expand farther, and so if you don't have a flexible chinking, it won't expand with it. So I took all the old chinking out, put all new chinking in, and then it's called shell guard. It's for bug repellent, essentially, like so termites won't touch the logs. So I sprayed that on, then let that dry, and then you do a stain and then a top coat, like a clear coat. So there's two actual like full paint on, and it's not just paint, you got to work it into everything. So there's two full coats that you have to do that with the staining and the clear coat. So it's been a lot of time, like a lot of hours. It's a very time consuming process, and
especially for the entire exterior.
Yeah, we're almost done with what we can do this year. We ran out of time before the weather. Well, we ran out of time a while back, but we've been heating different areas of the outside of the house with temporary like little tarp setups and a wood stove and
which is
heating
pretty standard.
Yeah.
Like people that actually do
in
that
this climate, yeah.
professionally for their full-time jobs, you'll often see them tarping off whole
porches
sections,
and stuff,
so they can heat it and then stain it and stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to do that
because it can't get below 40 degrees at night.
Yeah,
so
which we're long past that right now.
Like I think on the end of our forecast, it looks like it's like 15 for the high.
For the high during the day.
So lows of 40 are long gone, but
anyways.
Yeah. So anyways, that's another thing we've been doing here, and then making firewood. That she's got a wood stove is right next to us. That is the primary.
That's why I keep looking over here.
Yeah, it's the primary heat source for the house, and so we want to, be able to. She has probably like 2 to 3 years of firewood already split and like stacked here, and
but we didn't want to run through that.
Yeah, we're gonna use it obviously, but we want to be able to make it so she's got like 3 to 5 years plus whatever we use. So like refill whatever we use this winter
and more,
and then get it so it's not only like 2 to 3 years but 3 to 5 years. So if she does come back here full time, that she's got like 5 years of firewood stocked up.
Which has been like a standard theme for us here and everywhere we've gone. Like we like to leave things better than we found them, especially for widows, and we don't want to be like, it's an amazing miracle that she's opened her house to us and trusted us with everything here. And we just want her to be able to come home, and it's just like a relief off of her like decades of work that needed to be done is finally done, and she didn't have to do any of it.
Yeah, that's part of like the staining. They did a lot of work to the cabin here, and they ended up lifting the roof up 10 inches, and there was
for more insulation.
Yeah, but there was a strip of plywood or of OSB, which is cheaper than plywood, on the front porch, and it had never been sided or anything, and you just never got around to it. It's one of those things where if you're going full time on a job or something, it's a project you never get to. And now a couple years ago, her husband passed away, and she could do it, but it just takes time and moving ladders and stuff. And so I was able to get all that. We put a fake half log siding on it, so it looks exactly like the real logs do.
It's really good. It's gonna look amazing once we're able to stay
like I said, decades, things that haven't been done for decades that are finally getting checked off of her list, and it's a huge blessing to her. So. And
the thing is, with people, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. With people, there's plenty of people doing what people are saying that Alex needs to go do, full-time work, everything, but that whole idea is why people like this are neglected, and why there's so many widows in need right now as we're speaking, because there's not enough people able or willing to go out and do that stuff. There's a serious lacking, and according to Torah, that's one of the most important works that need to be done. And in the Torah, there was provisions for people to go do those things.
Yeah. And so, like, growing up, my dad always said, well, we said we were going to make this a quick video, but
I know.
My dad said, who he had learned from a mentor, he said, either you can either raise your level of income to meet your desires and your standards, or you can increase your standards and desires to meet your level of income. And I was always taught that you should increase your income to meet your desires and standards. But as
the American dream.
Yeah, the American dream, But as we learned and like got into the bus and everything, it's like, not only is it the easy way out of that equation of like work super hard to try and maybe get everything you ever wanted, but it's like the easy way is like you don't, and in the better way is you don't want all that stuff and you don't need all that stuff. It's just a distraction. It's to keep you focused on those things and not the real important things, like living.
all the people around here, this whole like community area around here is extremely wealthy people with cabins that they'll use once a year, twice a year, only on the weekends. Like, you're
Whole
working
houses.
your whole life away to have another house somewhere that you're not even using, or even your one house. Most people are on such a low income they can only afford one house. And how often are you in your house actually with your children, enjoying life as you're supposed to, doing what matters in life?
Like our closest neighbor, he's here maybe once a month, but he's got a Starlink antenna on his roof. He pays $120 at least a month for internet at a place he only goes to one. It's crazy stuff like that.
Especially when you come out of that life and you look at it, it's like, that's just, I can't imagine.
Yeah, but that's where like living minimally and decreasing, not like your standards and everything, but realizing what really is important, and you can actually live in a school bus with very minimal power needs and very minimal water needs and be extremely happy, and also be able to pour out into other people with the time that you now have, because you don't have to work for that. And that's like a whole different side of like, if I was to go to work and have an actual job, is our needs are so small that for me to go work full time, we don't have the need for that, so
Except
I would
for
only
rent.
need to go to work for like a week and then not work for like 2 weeks,
Except for right now. When
we're trying to
starting
build a new
from
bus.
nothing and trying to get the funding for the bus, which is why we're asking for help, because if we did that ourselves, it's going to be
It would just stop everything that we're doing here, and everything else that we're doing. But
and like, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm 7 months pregnant right now, real close to having our baby, and for Alex to go to work, it's like impossible at this point in time for us to do that. And at that point, it wouldn't make much sense at all. And that's why, like, situations like this, especially where Yahuwah put us to take care of a widow's house and work full-time here, between like me taking care of children and when I need Alex to come in and stuff, he's still working full-time. It's just not 2 hours away, and he's doing it for someone that really needs it, rather than a millionaire, someone that wants $1 million garage built for no reason. So that's why we're asking people to help, not to be selfish, but so that we can keep helping Eve, the widow that owns this house and isn't here to take care of it and needs help and doesn't have a husband anymore. And
she's not here to take care of it because she is states away helping her mom who needs help.
Yeah.
So it's like she's doing something that she needs to do righteously, but now her houses just need somebody to be here to upkeep it and make sure that nothing's going wrong. And
houses are not meant to not be lived in. We've seen that since we've been here. How many things have gone wrong that if we weren't here, it wouldn't have been caught, and it would have caused some damage. But thankfully, we were here. Yahuwah knew that. Perfect timing, like always. Praise Him in all things. We were able to fix them immediately. And this house really should not have taken another harsh, snowy Wisconsin winter either. It needed the exterior done.
So that's what we've been doing, and that's what our heart is to be able to help others with the help that we get, to be able to get enough help that our needs are met, and then we can go and we can, just like I said before, go to like a widow's house or someone who needs, like, let's say even just a brother or sister who's like, I don't have much money right now and I need an alternator put in my car, and I don't even have money to buy the alternator. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. And we can buy the alternator for you, and I know how to put it in, and it's super simple, and we can come to you and do it. It's
amazing because Alex has so many skills. It would literally be a waste for him to go work one job when he could be using all those skills to help the body and help even unbelievers, and just be there, because he knows mechanic work. He's done full motor swaps on vehicles, multiple vehicles. He knows how to do any type of carpentry. He learned how to stain when we got here. He's never stained and did the whole process before,
cabin, yeah.
especially a real log cabin. But he learned, and he learned from professionals, and he has the skills. Like, especially in this age, anyone that says, "Oh, I don't know how to do that, I can't do it," that's
just not applying yourself.
You're not applying yourself enough. There's the information out there. If you care enough, you will find it and do it.
YouTube University.
Say YouTube certified mechanic.
YouTube,
like,
yeah.
like I wanted to get that sticker for you a long time ago.
But anyways,
same with like building a bus, living in a bus. Oh, I don't have any skills. Learn. There's a lot of people, worldly people, that have no knowledge or any
tools.
love for you, who are don't, or they just want to spend it on themselves, live only for themselves and just vacation. It seems like a lot of people think that that's what we've done with living in a bus. Like, oh, you just travel. Why? Did you pay attention to what we were doing? Every single day was pouring into others, not just for ourselves. Rarely did we sit down and actually just have days for ourselves.
Very true. So we could talk about this forever.
I know.
We said we were going to make it a short video. It's probably not a short video, but
I think we're over half hour.
I would say, yeah, especially with our pauses. But ultimately, really, we were just trying to make a video explaining really what we do. So
and we have explained this many times.
Yeah, but things fall through the cracks, or maybe don't get seen, or with the suppression that's on different platforms, that maybe certain videos or certain things don't get any reach and people don't see them. Who knows? But we'd really love to hear your feedback, especially people that don't feel like we work or feel like we're in the wrong. We'd love to hear your feedback, but not only just feedback, but actually have a conversation. And so, leave your feedback in the form of what you feel like we need to address, or what you feel like you'd like to hear better explained, or something like that. And we could, we can do another short discussion
Not
about
so short.
about what we actually do and what we hope to do in the future. So, but ultimately, we need the support of people now more than we really ever have. With the situation that we're in, we're in this amazing place, but at the end of the day,
it's not ours.
Yeah, we've been asked to leave places randomly
overnight.
To where, spiritual warfare, like where there's no reason that we should be asked to leave, but all of a sudden, just even you see in the story of Jacob and Laban, everything was great, and then all of a sudden it says that one day Laban just had a different look when he looked at Jacob, and so just crazy things can happen.
And
so
sometimes that's Jehovah's will. He'll move in people's hearts to
certainly
keep us
was
moving.
with Jacob and Laban.
Certainly was with us losing our bus.
Yeah. So.
And having to start over when we didn't think that was ever going to be a possibility.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't think that's going to happen, because we're good friends with Eve, and everything's going great, and we're really able to pour into her here and not, ask too much. We're trying to pour into her more than what we're asking.
Yeah. So really, we need. I lost my train of thought now. I was saying, I don't know. Leave your. I've completely lost it.
So do we. We just need a lot of people's help, and the main reason of making this video is just because we've been massively misunderstood lately.
Yeah, that's definitely it. But what I was going to say before was, while the situation right now from the outside looking in is we're all right. We've got a place to be that could change at any moment, and like one of those previous posts said, we really don't have like anywhere. If we're not here, we don't have anywhere to be. We can go back into our bus that we haven't taken the time or spent the funding that we don't have to do like a quick mold remediation fix on it. So we would have to probably go back into like a molded bus, which is not an ideal situation. So
and this isn't a permanent solution either.
Yeah,
like we're not invited here to be
Yeah.
here forever.
Live
If
here
she's
forever.
not here, just live here as long as you want.
Yeah.
Like, stay here while you need while I'm gone. And if she decides to come home, that could be the end of us staying here. So what we have ourselves is not this extravagant, beautiful house. It's not that extravagant, but it looks like it, probably with the lighting and everything. I thought it looked pretty great when we were testing everything. but it's not ours. You know, we're just sojourners here. Like, that's how
ours is outside at 25 degrees right now.
Yeah, with no insulation and nothing that really meets our needs, which is why we're asking for help. And not only by helping us are you helping just us, you're helping Eve, the widow. You're helping the other widows that we've helped. And you're helping all the people that will help in the future.
Yeah.
And we want to record that more and do more of that. We want our whole life to be pouring into others and helping the needy.
Yeah.
And we really don't like being the needy right now and asking for help. It's not a nice place to be in, especially when people see that. And, you know, we faced a lot of slander and persecution. And it's been really hard. And honestly, we've been in the most lonely season of our entire life right now. But yeah, who is good in all things, and we're having faith, and we know that if this is His will, then these things will prosper, and He'll make the way, just like He did for the Israelites over and over again. He can send manna from heaven. You know, if no one wants to help us, He can make the rocks cry out for us, like Scripture says. You know, so we're just having shalom. Even when we first lost our house, we obviously faced the initial like fear and like that spirit of panic that wants to overtake you, but Yahuwah led us to not be hasty in times of trouble and trust Him, and He's brought us to a perfect place to pour into widows like we said we wanted. But like we said, this is a very, very, very temporary thing, and we need to be working on the bus because it does take a long time to build a bus. It does take a lot of work and labor to go into that. But then once that's done, we're good immediately to go out and start doing the work of Yahuwah again, which is why we've been so fervent in asking for help and saying we need help now. And, you know, we're good for now. Yahuwah always provides what we need. He gives us shelter over our heads. He gives us food. Our babies are sleeping in their crib, in their bed right now. And we're safe and protected. But at the same time, this isn't ours.
Yeah.
And we do need a home of our own.
Yeah.
And we do need help from others.
And ultimately, like we just talked about, you're not really donating like to us. You're donating to the like just like those organizations that have volunteers that send people out to do that work. That's what we need help with. So if you feel led, we'll leave all the info in the comments. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the social media guy.
I'll link it. We do have a GoFundMe and then direct things like PayPal, Cashapp, Venmo, Facebook Messenger, and a P.O. Box. But if you have any questions, I mean, we're obviously very, very busy, and I get a lot of messages that I can't get to. But like if it's something simple and you think that you can't go back and look through what I've posted already with all of our ministry work, then I can answer your questions. But ultimately, it's pretty straightforward what we need help with and why.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We love you all. We pray blessings over you. Or we just ask that you pray for us too, because even though we have faith and shalom, it's been an extremely hard season of life for us.
Very, very trying.
Imagine living in a house that's not your own, and it's not a solution. And you just lost your house, and you're about to have another baby, and almost every single one of your friends doesn't understand you, and you're all alone. So it's been interesting. Anyways, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Shalom.